is Don Hall, usually playing a different role than this, teaching people about community organizing and regenerative activism. But I was very happy to be invited to lead this session because meditation has been a really important part of my work in transition. I would say it's even been essential to my work in transition. I don't think I would be able to have been doing this for the last 18 years without it. The practice of meditation has definitely helped me with inner resilience, um, being able to bounce back quickly from difficult experiences, to have greater clarity and focus, to be able to hold a lot of complexity. And we have to hold a lot of complexity in transition. Not just what's happening in our local community and in our groups and in ourself, but what's happening in the world as a whole. And yeah, also being able to be more flexible and open to working with whatever arises, so working with emergence. So I'm not going to talk too much here at the outset because I want to spend most of our limited time together doing the actual meditation and maybe hearing if you have any questions. Just maybe a quick show of hands. Who has practiced meditation in the past or has a regular meditation practice of some sort? Really defining that in the widest possible way, working with mindfulness and awareness. So pretty much everybody, and that's not surprising. Meditation is really in the cultural ether at this point, and there's so many different ways that different traditions that we can connect to. My particular tradition is Tibetan Buddhist, what we call Shambhala meditation, coming from Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, Tibetan holder of the Kagyu and Nyingma lineages of Tibetan Buddhism. But meditation is also a big part of um, Jewish and Christian culture, Muslim, Hindu, all pretty much every world religion, and even coming at meditation from a secular perspective, and just really looking at the benefits that it can have for us, for our peace of mind, for our personal development. So there's tons of different practices out there, and I would just say that they're not all the same. Some of them are great for some things and not for others. I think, when we tap into a lot of different kinds of meditative practices, that can be helpful for kind of knowing what's out there. But ultimately, we have to have some kind of regular practice to really transform ourselves and rewire our brains and hearts. So I'm going to share a few different techniques from the tradition that I'm part of and really encourage you to explore what works for you because that's the most important thing. So as we start here, I encourage you to actually turn away from the screen. If there's a way you can turn your chair or wherever you're sitting to a place where you have a kind of more open vista. We are going to be practicing with our eyes open. In the Shambhala tradition, we do that because we want to integrate as much as possible the peace and openness and expansiveness that we feel in meditation practice with our everyday lives, with our work, with our home life. Um, so we are going to be practicing with the eyes open. And we start always with posture. And posture is not incidental to this form of meditation. It's really expression of our meditation and a support for it. So if you're sitting in a chair, encourage you to place your feet flat on the floor if you can, um, to ground into the energy of the earth. And to take a seat that is not so far forward that you're kind of leaning forward, sliding forward, but not also not resting on anything. So we call this strong back, soft front. So we have an upright posture that encourages awakeness at the same time as we have an open and kind of tender heart and some relaxation with the practice. So just try to feel that balance between strong back and soft front, the two together. And one support that I find useful for the upright posture is to imagine a thin string attached to the crown of your head and to the ceiling, and it's pulling just ever so slightly upward on the crown. You can let your hands just lie um, face down comfortably on your lap, on your two thighs. This is called the resting the mind mudra. And then just take a moment to feel throughout your body if there are any areas of tension that you could bring your attention to. And you could breathe into those parts of your body and allow them to relax. And your gaze for this first practice is maybe about 2 to 4 feet in front of you, what we call close placement. Our gaze has a big impact on our meditation. And it's a soft gaze. We're not staring at anything. We're just letting the visual field be there. So that's the posture. And this first type of meditation is focused on calming the mind, uh, sometimes referred to as shamatha, using the Sanskrit term, which literally means peaceful abiding. And I now invite you to tune into the full cycle of your breath, the feeling of your body breathing. Try to be as completely with the full cycle of your breath as you can. To the point where you are that breath and nothing else. You may notice that thoughts arise. Of course, very natural, but we're not here to think about anything in particular. We're working with our mind itself. So when you notice that a thought has taken you away into the past or into the future, you can just label that as thinking, acknowledge it as thinking, and then come back to the breath, your breathing body. So we'll do that for another minute or two. And every time we come back and being lost in our fears or our fantasies or figuring out what we're going to have for dinner, we are building the muscle of mindfulness, the ability to stay present and focused. And in the beginning of the meditative journey, this is what we do. We come back 100,000 times. And by doing that, we begin to cultivate a state of peace, stability. But that stability is really uh, just the foundation of the meditative journey as I understand it. We also bring in the aspect of awareness or vipassana, which translates from Sanskrit into insight. And a very common metaphor for this is a lake where there's been a lot of wind and waves, and the bottom has gotten all churned up. So there's mud and dust saturating the water. But as we practice, that mud and dust begins to settle, and we can begin to see more underneath the surface. The kelps and the fishes and corals and the brilliant, diverse underwater life. So, a kind of intermediate practice, we're doing almost exactly the same thing, holding our good posture, but we raise our gaze a little bit to let in more of the world. So, maybe 6 to 8 feet in front of you. Still a very soft gaze, not staring at anything, not having any thoughts about it. And here we focus specifically on the out breath. So we try to be as completely as possible with our breath as it goes out. But then we leave a gap as the breath naturally comes back in. Because ultimately, the breath isn't the point isn't being able to be aware of the breath. It's to be able to bring meditation into every moment. So the out breath goes out, we follow it, we dissolve into space, and then we're just there until it's time for the next out breath to go out. And we don't need to be quite so heavy-handed with our thoughts. If we're pulled away, we can just come back as soon as we realize it. So this is what we call shamatha vipassana, mixing both mindfulness and awareness. And before we need to close, I'll just give you a kind of taste of a third technique that maybe we might adopt as we become even more settled, even more stable in our meditation, which is to raise our gaze all the way, like we're looking out across a vast ocean. And here we can drop the focus on the breath altogether and just feel the space around us. We can open all of our senses and just be still in the midst of that without departing. Just feel what it is to just be without any technique. And this is sometimes something that takes many years to be able to do in a really rooted way, but we can do it. And it makes transferring meditation into daily life that much easier. So you can take a few last deep breaths. And know that you can come back to this still and open space whenever you want to. It's there for us and it heals us. All right. Well, I know we're a couple minutes over already. This is a tight slot. But I hope you got something out of that. And yeah, so if you're new to meditation, look around, try out a bunch of different techniques and see what really works for you. And do try to find, a community that you can be part of that practices meditation. As we say in Buddhism, there are three jewels: the Buddha, which could be the teacher, but is also the practice, the Dharma, the study, and the philosophy, the view, and then the Sangha, right up there with the other two, the community. So important for supporting us on this journey.